What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dominate Every Aspect. In this week's episode, I want to talk about how you know when it's time to make changes to your diet. So that's not always easily done, and as many of you know, I'm obviously weighing myself every single day, and our weight tends to fluctuate throughout the course of the week. So interpreting those numbers can sometimes be challenging. For example, this past week, I went down from my maintenance numbers, and I went down back to my deficit numbers. Now, I didn't go back to my old deficit numbers. I actually made them just slightly higher. So last time when I was dieting, which is, let's say 3 weeks ago, my numbers were 345 grams of carbs. This week, dropping from my maintenance, going back into my deficit, I wanted to see what would happen. So I went to 360 grams of carbs instead of the 345. Now, overall, my weight dropped slightly, about 0.4 pounds from last week, even though I wasn't actively seeking weight loss in previous weeks. This was the first week. I did happen to see a new low weigh-in this week as well, so I was pretty excited about that. But on average, as many of you know, I take that average weekly weight, and that's what I really try to evaluate myself on. It wasn't down all that much, like I said. So I did see, that low weigh-in, but that low weigh-in wasn't all that much. It was only about 0.4 off of my absolute lowest weight that I've seen. It happened to be 185.8. So this week, although I was down, once again on my average, although I did see a nice new low, which is always exciting, I am still making changes. And that's to keep on my pace, because I need to lose roughly on average 0.75 pounds per week. And that's what a lot of people, they don't stick to their pace. And honestly, if I'm trying to be honest with you guys here, I think I'm a little bit behind on my pace. Visually, I think I'm still looking great. I always, everybody always wants to be leaner than they are, but I don't want to push the pace too fast. So if anything, I would rather be going a little bit too slow now. And in this next diet phase, I might actually start to pick up the pace just to try to make up for some lost time. So when do you know to make changes? If, let's say, for a couple weeks, your weight doesn't move. Let's say, so that's like my weekly average. If it's not really moving a whole lot, if you're not seeing new low weigh-ins, that's when it's time to move it as well. If you're not seeing visual changes. Now, as you guys know, I do take, the posing videos that are towards the end of these videos, and I can tell, yes, I am looking a little bit better. Obviously, my weight is coming down, but it's not very, very drastic changes. It's more subtle changes, especially in those posing videos. I do take pictures every couple of weeks, not necessarily every week. Usually when I have my wife, I take the pictures. So right now, I'm relying more or less on the scale at this point in time. Later on in the contest prep, I will probably rely more on pictures and how I'm looking. But right now, the scale is my driving force. So I'm letting that dictate when I make my changes. And I have to be hard on myself. I feel like sometimes I'm a little bit easier on myself than I am on my clients, and I catch myself in that. I'm like, well, I did see a nice new low weigh-in this week. And then I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, but I know that my average weekly weight was only down just a little bit, and you really need to push the pace. So sometimes coaching yourself can be a battle that you have to face, and you have to be hard on yourself. So as far as making changes, stick to the game plan ahead of time. So weeks and weeks ago, this is at the beginning of the new year, actually before the new year even started, I actually laid out a tentative timeline for myself on how many weeks I was going to diet for, where I was going to bring up and down my food, and tentatively where I needed to be according to my weight. So I'm trying to stick to that plan as best as I can. Obviously, we know that nothing happens perfectly as far as weight loss goes. It's not always going to go like we want it to, but that's what it's there for in the back of our minds. At least we have something to go off of. I would rather have somewhat of a plan that I could deviate from rather than no plan. So hopefully that helps you guys kind of understand how I'm evaluating myself from week to week, and hopefully that helps you evaluate yourself if you are coaching yourself as well. So as always, guys, keep dominating every aspect. I'll see you soon.